Welcome back to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. My name is Andrew Erickson, and today we're going to be breaking down my top 16 fantasy football draft targets by round. We're going to use Fantasy Pros aggregate ADP for half-point scoring. But first, if you want a chance to win a signed Keenan Allen Los Angeles Chargers jersey, courtesy of our friends at Pristine Auction, you just subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now, comment below on this video, and that's it. We'll be announcing a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Now, back to my top round-by-round draft targets. Round 1, wide receiver Justin Jefferson, Minnesota Vikings. Justin Jefferson has been a revelation since entering the league. He has the most receiving yards in NFL history in a player's first 2 seasons and is PFF's second highest graded receiver over that span. The Vikings wideout finished 2021 as a wide receiver 4 in fantasy points per game and expected fantasy points per game. He's a model of consistency at just 22 years old, finishing as a weekly top 20 wide receiver in 76% of his games, while commanding the league's 3rd highest target share and number 1 air yard share. Kirk Cousins is an above-average quarterback who's proven to support top-tier fantasy weapons, and new head coach Kevin O'Connell could further unlock Jefferson's upside. O'Connell wants to use Jefferson at the Cooper Cup of his new-look offense. The targets will be double digits every week, and Jefferson should see more time operating from the slot. Cup compiled over 1,615 receiving yards from the slot last year, 93% of his total yardage output while operating from inside in 2021. Justin Jefferson is my wide receiver 1 in the wide receiver rankings. Round 2, running back Saquon Barkley, New York Giants. 2022 is the year to buy back into Saquon Barkley. He's fully healthy and showed flashes of a top 10 fantasy running back just last year. In 5 games last season when Barkley played a full snap share with Daniel Jones under center, the Giants running back averaged 16.2 PPR points per game. And before his freak injury versus the Cowboys, he averaged 23 points per game and 2 healthy starts. I see no serious threat for touches behind Barkley on the depth chart, and the Giants have all the reason to feature Barkley as much as possible for 2 reasons. He's the best player on offense, he's an impending free agent. With high projected volume, receiving upside, and upgraded offensive line unit, I won't be surprised to see Barkley turn out an RB1 overall season in 2022. Round 3, tight end Kyle Pitts, Atlanta Falcons. If you still haven't drafted an elite tight end, Kyle Pitts is your guy here in round 3. He's essentially a wide receiver playing the tight end position, but the positional advantage makes him extremely enticing for fantasy purposes. He's got so much talent that nobody will be surprised to see him take a massive step forward in year 2. As a rookie, Pitts finished 3rd among tight ends in receiving yards and 3rd in expected fantasy points per game. The rookie fell short of lofty preseason expectations as he scored just 1 touchdown. Any other pass catcher that compiled at least 1,000 receiving yards caught at least 4 touchdowns. Per PFF's expected fantasy points model, the Falcons tight end should have scored at least 5.5 touchdowns. With positive regression for year 2 in his favor, draft the uber-talented Pitts aggressively everywhere. The last 2 21-year-old receivers, Justin Jefferson and Juju Smith-Schuster, as rookies to average at least 60 receiving yards per game, which Pitts also did, reached 1,400 receiving yards in their second seasons. Round 4, wide receiver Courtland, Sutton, Denver Broncos. I know this comes as a shock, but I still believe Sutton will be this year's Cooper Kupp, a wide receiver taken in the middle rounds who alters the tides of fantasy football leagues by leading the NFL in red zone targets like Kupp did last season. The big-bodied fiend led the Broncos in red zone targets in 2021, led all wide receivers in target rate inside the 10-yard line in 2019. Wilson has an affinity for attacking receivers in the red zone. A Seattle wide receiver has finished top 5 in red zone targets for 3 straight years. The Seahawks offense as a whole has finished top 5 in red zone touchdown conversion rate over the same time frame. Denver has never ranked higher than 21st since 2018 in the same category. Green Bay, under new Denver head coach Nathaniel Hackett, ranked top 3 in passing touchdown percentage the past 2 seasons. The fit between Russell Wilson, Sutton, and the new coaching staff could not be better, especially with Tim Patrick and his 8 red zone touchdowns the past 2 seasons no longer a factor. Also cannot forget what Sutton was able to do even in an anemic offense last season. He finished 7th in air yards, cemented between Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. He averaged nearly 14 fantasy points per game, which ranked 17th, and owned a 27% target share weeks 2 through 7. Sutton has a real chance to recapture his elite form another year removed from his ACL injury, and Wilson has always been an elite downfield passer, having the 6th highest passer rating on throws of 20-plus air yards last year, which plays heavily into Sutton's strengths as a vertical threat. Round 5, running back A.J. Dillon, Green Bay Packers. Over the final 8 weeks of the 2021 season, A.J. Dillon was the RB6 overall in half-point scoring, averaging 14.5 fantasy points per game, which ranked 11th. His 32 red zone touches ranked 3rd in the NFL to wrap up the season. Aaron Jones averaged just under 12 fantasy points per game as the RB23 in his 6 games played over that same time span. He also had just 1 top 10 finish from week 9 onward. Dillon had 2. And interestingly enough, the Packers running backs' current ADPs are the total opposite of how they finished last year. Jones is going to have big weeks with his receiving upside, but Dillon, as PFF's 5th highest graded running back since entering the NFL, will have equally big weeks when the Packers are facing a positive game script. Draft prices considered, Dillon is the superior Green Bay Packers value. Round 6, quarterback Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts has been a top 12 fantasy quarterback and an 85% hit rate in the 20 games he's played all 4 quarters in. And last season, he was the fantasy QB1 from weeks 1 through 11. Overall, he ranked 5th in expected fantasy points per game and 1st in QB rushing yards per game with 53. There's no reason to think that Hurts won't continue producing in fantasy with the addition of A.J. Brown, the second easiest schedule, and one of the league's best offensive line units. Not to mention the Eagles could throw more in 2022. They threw at the 2nd highest rate on early downs under a neutral game script to open the first 6 weeks of last season. The Eagles also ranked 2nd in screen rate. Anticipate plenty of plays where Hurts just dumps the ball off to AJB for massive chunk gains. Brown finished 4th in yards per route run last season, despite battling injuries throughout the year. The sky's the limit for the Eagles passing game. Fly, Eagles, fly. Round 7, running back Dameon Pierce, Houston Texans. Dameon Pierce was PFF's highest graded running back in the FBS last year, and he has already usurped Marlon Mack after the Texans demoted the veteran to the practice squad. Pierce sat at the team's 2nd preseason game and started in week 3 because the coaches feel like he's proven he's the team's RB1 and the best option at the position. Houston has an early bye week in week 6, so a bump in receiving usage should be in play for week 7 onward in addition to the volume he gets as the running back 1 on early downs. Be aggressive drafting him. He has the capability of being an early down workhorse even though he wasn't used that way in college. Pierce only had 2 college games with double-digit carries, both of which came after Gators head coach Dan Mullen was fired. Clearly, not using his best player was indeed a fireable offense. The Texans won't make that mistake the college coaches made because they have shown with their actions they have confidence in Pierce. Pierce ranked number 1 in his draft class in positive EPA percentage generated and 2nd in that mark when he was behind the line of scrimmage. Also ranked 4th in yards per route run. The guy just makes plays and should be on your roster. Round 8, running back Rhamondre Stevenson, New England Patriots. After fully escaping the Bill Belichick doghouse in week 9, Stevenson earned top grades across the board. He was PFF's 3rd highest graded running back. He also outtouched Damien Harris in the team's remaining 7 games. His PFF grade was the highest among all rookies last year at the running back position, which puts him into elite territory like other rookie running backs before him, like Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Nick Chubb, and Alvin Kamara. All those guys finished as top 8 running backs the following season. The Patriots running back also finished top 10 in yards per snap. The only other running backs to do so, Kareem Hunt and Christian McCaffrey. With praise coming from the head coach Belichick that Stevenson is getting better than he was last year, especially as a receiver, the second-year back needs to be a priority draft target. It's Rhamondre's world. You don't want to miss out. Before we get into my top 8 targets, we talk about today's video sponsor, Flex Fantasy. Flex.fan allows you to compete in head-to-head challenges on a weekly basis using your current fantasy team. You can sync the fantasy team you already drafted. Best ball challenges are now available with your rosters. No need to draft a new team. You can challenge anyone in the fantasy community, even if you're not in your league. Play against your league mates, friends, family, or anyone else in the fantasy community. Sign up and create your first best ball challenge for a chance to win a signed Rodgers helmet. Just head on over to flex.fan/pros. Now let's get back to the list. Round 9, quarterback Trey Lance, San Francisco 49ers. Lance only started 2 games as a rookie, but flashed the rushing prowess that excited fantasy managers during last year's draft season. The 49ers' first-year signal caller averaged 22.4 expected fantasy points per game, which would have ranked QB4, and 60 rushing yards per game. He averaged 54 rushing yards per game in his 3 games played with at least a 50% snap share, and finished as a top 20 quarterback in all contests. That rushing mark was the highest ever by a rookie quarterback. With a strong supporting cast around him, a bazooka for an arm, and the QB1 role finally his own despite the return of Jimmy G, Lance is set to light fantasy football ablaze. He's the number 1 late-round quarterback to draft. Round 10, wide receiver Kadarius Toney, New York Giants. Kadarius Toney flashed future target magnet potential after posting 2.14 yards per route run and commanding a 25% target rate per route run in 2021, which tied for 7th best in the NFL. His 92nd percentile PFF receiving grade versus single coverage suggests that Toney can win wherever he lines up, and against man coverage specifically, his 2.8 yards per route run was the highest mark for a rookie wide receiver since 2018, trailing only Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and A.J. Brown. Toney's volume opportunity combined with the talent is there for him to absolutely smash, competing for targets with two rookies and a cooked Kenny Golladay. Although there's no denying that Toney's flashes of brilliant play came in short supply last year. The Giants' offense might still be below average, even with upgrades across the offensive line and coaching personnel with Daniel Jones under center, and Toney has not been able to do much this offseason while dealing with soft tissue injuries. Even so, that's factored into Toney's suppressed ADP, buy the dip, legitimate top 15 fantasy wide receiver upside at a fraction of the cost. Round 11, tight end Cole Kmet, Chicago Bears. No tight end should make a bigger leap this year than Cole Kmet, whose upside has been capped by a lack of touchdown equity with veteran Jimmy Graham rearing his ugly head the past few seasons. But Graham's free agent, opening the door for Kmet to smash. His 8th ranked route participation and 7th ranked target share from 2021 hardly align with his fantasy production, as no tight end finished with more fantasy points under expectation than the Notre Dame product. That designation is a sign that Kmet is due for a fantasy breakout. It signals as much for guys like Zach Ertz and Dawson Knox, who scored fewer points than expected in 2020 before contributing fantasy this past year. Both tight ends finished 2021 as top 10 options at the position in points per game. In addition, Kmet has the requisite size and athleticism, sporting an 87th percentile height, 88th percentile vertical jump, and 89th percentile broad jump. Kmet checks off all the boxes for a tight end breakout. This is exactly why I have him ranked well ahead of ADP. He's my number one tight end target if I'm waiting to draft one. Round 12, wide receiver George Pickens, Pittsburgh Steelers. George Pickens' college profile screams that of a true alpha, so I'll be looking to stash him across the board before he is fully unleashed. The Georgia Bulldog wide receiver broke out as a true 18-year-old freshman, finishing 2019 as PFF's 17th highest graded receiver in the nation, ahead of future NFL wideouts like Jerry Jeudy, Justin Jefferson, Devante Smith, and Jalen Waddle. His 2.64 yards per route run were identical to Jefferson's. Pickens' unbelievable first year generated a 27% dominator rating, the number one age-adjusted mark among the wide receivers in his draft class. He's already slated to open the season and playing ahead of Chase Claypool in two wide receiver sets, giving him the best opportunity to showcase his talents and ability from the get-go. Round 13, Devante Parker, New England Patriots. 2021 was a typical season for Devante Parker. The former first-round pick had at least 7 targets in 7 of his 9 games played, scoring double-digit fantasy points in more than half of them. He averaged just under 13 expected fantasy points per game through 17 weeks, which ranked 28th, and his acquisition by the Patriots helped shore up the need for a big-bodied wideout on the perimeter that can make plays downfield. The extent of how high a target share Parker will command remains to be seen. If anything, he probably has the most touchdown upside of the New England Patriots wide receivers, and that means Parker will be the most productive fantasy wide receiver on the team in the games that he's healthy for in 2022. Round 14, tight end David Njoku, Cleveland Browns. Njoku set career highs in PFF grade, yards per route run, and yards after the catch per reception in 2021. His awesome year resulted in a fat new contract, setting him up nicely to play a focal point in the Browns offense. And even without Deshaun Watson to start the year, I still expect Njoku to put up numbers. Jacoby Brissett's tight ends, while playing for the Colts, often led the team in targets and receptions. The Cleveland offense ranks top 3 in target share to tight ends over the last 2 seasons. So with a top 10 tight end finish on Njoku's resume, a clear path to targets, a full-time role, and a quarterback upgrade waiting in the wings, the uber-athletic tight end is slated for the moon in 2022. Round 15, wide receiver Isaiah McKenzie, Buffalo Bills. Isaiah McKenzie flashed big-time upside in his solo spot start for the Buffalo in Week 16 versus the Patriots. He caught 11 of 12 targets for 125 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. It also wasn't the first time McKenzie had stepped up in Cole Beasley's absence. In Week 17 of the 2020 season, he put up an equally impressive outing with 6 catches for 65 yards and 2 touchdowns. If McKenzie can just do what Cole Beasley did last year, 82 catches for 693 yards, wide receiver 40 in PPR, wide receiver 48 in half PPR, he will vastly outproduce his ADP going outside the top 65. Playing in a super pass-heavy offense will allow McKenzie the opportunity to soak up targets as the team's starting slot / number 3 receiver. Round 16, wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson, New York Giants. Wan'Dale Robinson has already locked up a full-time role in the starting offense based on his preseason usage, a feat not accomplished by many other rookie wide receivers drafted before him. In his first season playing full-time college wide receiver, Robinson finished second in the FBS in yards per route run. The Kentucky product also owns PFF's number 1 career receiving grade in the 2022 draft class. Be bullish on the undersized and super productive wideout, considering Daboll's past success with similar sized slot players like Cole Beasley and Isaiah McKenzie. That completes my top 16 targets for every round of the fantasy football season. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe, and share with all your non-league mate friends. And before you go, remember, if you want a chance to win a signed Keenan Allen Los Angeles Chargers jersey, courtesy of our friends at Pristine Auction, you need to subscribe to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel right now. Comment below in this video, and that's it. We'll be announcing a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our featured videos. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Fantasy Pros, so you can get the latest news and updates to give you the edge you need in your fantasy league.